Rhamondre Stevenson has a really bad fumbling problem, but just how bad is it? I am a Patriots fan and have kind of lived with his lackluster ability to hold onto the ball for the past few
Yeah, you would have
years.
said ups and downs, but it really never felt like it got up. It never really felt like it got better.
Yeah. And you are a stat junkie who has gone ahead and researched some statistics about his fumbling. I have done no research on purpose because I want to go in with just how I feel about the situation and what I am remembering and interpreting from how I remember him. And I want to see if my take is justified, basically. I want to see if the stats
hmm
back up what I think, and you have those stats to supply me with that gratification or with the lack thereof.
The humble truth.
Yeah. So I feel like it's been a good while since he's had a 2 game stretch without a fumble. And I did hear one stat on the broadcast that he has 3 fumbles this year, and I think 2 of them were in 1 game. So correct me if I'm wrong there.
Um, yeah, no, two in one game and then one this
Okay.
past one.
So then
So
he did
the
have a
first 2
2 game
weeks,
stretch. Yeah.
yeah, first 2 weeks of this season, he did not fumble the ball.
Okay. So that kind of ruins my like big like wow, it's been a while since he's gone 2 weeks without fumbling. But do you know the stretch before that he went without fumbling?
So the longest stretch, and this is from the 2024 season, the longest stretch he went with fumbling was 4 games. Then he went with a nice solid 5 game streak of no fumbles, and then it was every other game he would fumble going on for the rest of the season. He ended last season with 7 total. So he, you know, that initial stretch just really set him high on that fumble mark, but then he got it together and then he went back to it every other game, had one of those Rhamondre moments. So
Yeah.
that was the stretch before last. And 2024 I feel like is the one season that is really hammered home how big the fumbling issue was.
Yeah. And the reason I ask that before I kind of get into the rest of my position on it is because that was the big like question I had was how often does he really fumble? We can get into the specifics of the situation and other running backs that have been in similar spots and what their outcomes have been, but it's really just remarkable that he's had this fumbling issue for over a year through a regime change, through a running back drafted at 38 overall, and he's still starting. Like that is mind-bogglingly stupid to me that he is still retaining the starting role. And I get it. He's an okay, like he's a solid running back, but he's not like Jonathan Taylor and he's not
Mm-hmm.
Bijan Robinson. He's not this like top tier running back, not Saquon. And he has the fumbling issue. So if you're like a, you know, upper middle of the pack running back, we'll call it upper middle class, you're an upper middle class running
Mm-hmm.
back and you can't hold on to the ball. Why are we not at least seeing what the young 38th overall pick, early second round pick has in the tank? And it's not like it's a issue of like, oh well, we just the depth just isn't there. Like they also had Antonio Gibson over Travion Henderson. And so I guess
Mm-hmm.
the issues I take with it are that Travion Henderson is not getting the touches he deserves. And it's that they're trying to run a 3 running back committee. Antonio Gibson out for the year now, so it'll go back down to 2. But I just don't see them moving away from Rhamondre Stevenson when he has single-handedly, it should be 2 hands on the ball, so that's notable, single-handedly lost us the game sometimes. It's outrageous.
Yeah,
There should be
for
no
sure.
there should be no future in which he is getting a majority of the carries, but it is the future we live in that he will be getting a majority of the carries moving forward.
I did want to. I'm typing it right now because I had this thought and I never wanted. I couldn't find a source for it, but I was really interested on most fumbles by a running back within the 5 because it feels like he's probably leading in that. Of course, no particular stat tracker I could find me that information, but man, like it feels like those are the moments when he fumbles. It's not that he fumbled like sometimes he may fumble early in the drive and you give up a lot of field position, but it feels like a majority of the time it's he fumbles in the big moment, like oh,
Yeah.
this is 3rd and 1. Just pick up 1 yard and we get a new set of downs. Or this is 1st and goal from the 1 and you're going to fumble right now because you just can't hold on to the ball through all of this contact. And, he's definitely more so defined as being this power running back, but I feel like power running backs shouldn't be able to fumble the ball constantly. You should be
Yeah.
able to maintain power through contact, not maintain power and cough up the ball every time you get hit hard. Now, in terms of the stats I went ahead and accumulated, because I started through, I was like, okay, let's see where he is, just like active players, what's the leaderboard at? So since 2018, he is 7th in terms of fumbles. Now, since 2019, he's 5th. And then we get to 2020, where he's 2nd in fumbles. Now, I do want to remind you, he was drafted in 2021.
Damn.
These are all years I
Okay.
just listed that he had no snaps for. So and for 2018, he is 7th. That means players with 3 more seasons under their belt than him, and he's 7th. Then 5th, then 2nd in 2020. Now, Austin Eckler is number 1 since 2020. Since 2021, when Rhamondre is actually able to start accumulating these stats in the league, he is tied number 1 with Austin Eckler. So, for me to have to go back to get him outside of the top 5 in fumbles, I have to go back 3 years before he was drafted. That's a rough look. Now, I went ahead and I was like, okay, so Austin Eckler, let's go ahead, let's compare him with Austin Eckler, because Austin Eckler, I mean, he produced a lot for a little good bit there. And so in 2020, which was Austin Eckler's, highest fumble year, he actually produced over 20 scrimmage touchdowns. And if I want to look at Eckler in what I call the problem period, their problem prime, they're coughing up the ball more than they have in the rest of their career. Well, since 2020, I would say Eckler's been in his problem prime, and he had 948 touches. Off of that, he had 48 touchdowns and 17 fumbles. Now, you compare that to Rhamondre's, since that same period of time, career stats, he has 911 touches. So, he's right there in touches overall. He has 25 touchdowns to 17 fumbles. Of course, tied with Austin Eckler, most fumbles since 2021. So, Eckler at least had that upside where, okay, we'll keep putting the ball in this guy's hands because he keeps yielding these touchdowns for us. I mean, he had 2 years with insane scrimmage touchdowns, and so you're going to kind of feed him the ball in those situations. And now, granted, this is for Eckler. He's had a 9-year career. He's played for 2 teams, and I would definitely say that this problem period for him was the reason he's no longer a Charger. He stopped producing the touchdowns at the clip that he had, and he kept producing those fumbles. And so he left. He wasn't a Charger. He didn't get a contract extension.
Right. And my interpretation with the Eckler thing too is a little different because he's not a power back. He was a huge receiving back, and I think it's a lot easier to fumble on receptions when you're catching the ball, shifting it, getting it into the carrying position than it is to fumble on a running play, which is all Rhamondre does is fumbles on the running plays in the backfield. Like this is not a it's same numbers, different situation. And like you said, with Eckler scoring all those touchdowns, it's justified. I wouldn't even say justified, but he deserved to continue getting those touches.
Yeah.
Giving him those touches was justified because the upside was there. With Rhamondre, like I was talking about, he's a middle class running back. The upside is just not there. Upper middle class. Thank you for correcting me. But regardless of the pedantic classifications of the class of the running back, the upside is not there. It just isn't. So there's no reason for us to be giving him these touches. And I guess the big thing that we as fans don't typically take into account when it comes to running back play is pass pro. But TreVeyon Henderson was single-handedly talked up as the best pass pro running back in the entire class and in recent memory. Like, this guy is a guy who made his college career off of pass pro and being a good running back. Pass pro first, good running back second. So there should be, like I said before, there should be no circumstance where Rhamondre Stevenson remains in the starting lineup going forward. It was inexcusable to give him the start after his 2 fumble game this season. It was inexcusable to keep him in the rotation, but they did it, and he fumbled again. It is further inexcusable. It would be coaching malpractice to keep him in the starting lineup moving forward.
Now, I did want to bring up some other, names here, because after I saw that, I was like, okay, let me find a broader spectrum. Currently, I looked at current players since 2021. I was like, let me go a little back. So I was like, okay, when was the last? When would I mark like death of running back era? And I was like, let me start like a modern NFL running back era. I chose 2010. I feel like 2015 would have been a good mark there as well, but I went 2010 just to find who led the league in a season for fumbles as a running back since 2010. And there's Rhamondre with 7 in one season, and there's 3 names above him with all who had 8. Now, one of which is Peyton Hillis, and I went ahead and looked at his career. Now, he had a 7-year-long career. He played for 4 different teams in those 7 years.
He had a 1-year-long career and then stuck around.
Exactly. So, but the thing is with him was like, he had 830 touches. So he hung around. He notably wasn't a starter. Like the complaint is coming from for why Rhamondre keeps getting this. He's getting these touches as a starter. Rhamondre is, and again, he has 25 touchdowns to these 17 fumbles. These 17 fumbles throughout his career. Well, Peyton Hillis had 26 touchdowns to 15 fumbles. So, that's more touchdowns and that's less fumbles. So this guy who hung around,
correct,
wasn't starting, played for 4 different teams, is still being revered and named starter by the same franchise year after year after year. So then I'm like, okay, well, what's this other name on here? What is the absolute okay, he's at least better than this guy, right? Well, that's Jalen Richard, who had 7 touchdowns to 14 fumbles.
Damn.
And that's through 6 years. And he played for only one team through those 6 years. And I was like, okay, so that's where Rhamondre is going to be going. Like, Rhamondre is going to be getting that one-team career out of the league after that. And we're just going to start seeing these fumbles pile up. And that's the mark. He has to have double the fumbles as touchdowns before the Patriots decide to do anything about it. Now, all that said, like, even going back to the Peyton Hillis comp, like, with the worst years of Peyton Hillis, you can scratch off 6 touchdowns, because he had 1 year where he had 6 touchdowns, no fumbles. So that's a 20 to 15 rate for him, for his worst stretch of years when you get rid of his one good year. Now, getting rid of one good year for Rhamondre, it's hard to find what you consider the good year, because, yeah, he had a year with 4 touchdowns. Issue. And a fumble. And it's because he didn't play all of the games that year. You let him play all of the games, he's healthy, he's going to rack up more. So, like, in terms of games played, like, these guys are not rivaling him in terms of the games with the starts. They may be getting the touches, but, I mean, Hillis got the touches with a lot more years. So, all that to say, I went ahead and I found a list of running backs that are like, okay, equally bad, equally fumble prone, and they didn't get the starting opportunity that Rhamondre's gotten. They didn't get this, like, force fed to him. He's not like, it's almost like Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott had a whole period of time where he was one of the best running backs in the league. Rhamondre never had that period of time. So then when Ezekiel Elliott then led into his fall off, where he was more fumble prone and really wasn't producing as much, like I mentioned with Eckler. I mean, that's more comparable than Eckler, because Eckler was the receiving running back and Ezekiel Elliott wasn't. Now, Ezekiel Elliott, of course, doesn't even really touch the fumbles that Rhamondre has, and yet it still was enough to be like, yeah, I think we're going to move on from you. I think we're going to let you go. And guess where Ezekiel Elliott went? It's
New fucking England.
Yeah, it's a prototype y'all love.
Yeah, truly. The fumbling running backs.
Because even Antonio Gibson had a little bad period of time with fumbling, and
That's why he was released and ended up with the Patriots. The biggest issue I take with this is just that you spent a super high draft pick on a running back. As far as running back picks go, you spent a relatively high pick on a running back. He's been third on your depth chart, and you've been given every reason to make him first on your depth chart, and it just hasn't happened. And the Rhamondre was a last regime pick. He was picked by the Belichick regime. He was extended by the Belichick regime, or by the Mayo regime, I guess. But same
basically
difference.
an extension of it. Yeah.
Now we're in the Vrabel era. We are in a new coaching, new mentality. This is new. Move off of him. It is so easy to do. You are given the opportunity on a silver fucking platter, and you're not taking it. So going forward, if he does remain the starter, which I'm hopeful that he won't. I'm hopeful that this was a last straw. But, I thought the 2 fumble game 2 weeks ago was a last straw. And I'm tweaking again because I'm remembering that he's still starting after a 2 fumble game, after a fumble-ridden career. So if he is still starting, I will call it out every week as coaching malpractice by the Patriots, and every single time that he fumbles to lose a game, I'll come up with something to do to make it known.
Yeah. And to end off this video, I want to throw just a couple more horrific Rhamondre Stevenson stats at you just for this season. Out of 69 nice eligible running backs, he is 60th in terms of success percentage. Success percentage is a stat that basically means, are you gaining enough yards on first and second down to get a first down? He is 60th out of 69. Now, you go ahead, you change some of these, requirements to meet this list, and you focus on just rushing, and you look at expected points added, kind of a similar stat to success percentage, but it kind of factors in how many touchdowns you have as well. Oh, he's got 2 rushing touchdowns, so that should help it. No, he is 45th out of 45 running backs in terms of EPA, or expected points added, per rush attempt. So you could say, hey, it's likely going to be that it's just the Patriots issue. It's just the offensive line. It's this, it's that. It's the run scheme.
It's a Rhamondre issue. It's nothing.
But Travion Henderson, running behind the same line, the same scheme, is 22nd on the list of 45.
Christ.
So I feel like that nips that in the bud.
Yeah.
With that, this has been the Rhamondre Stevenson rant video for all of you watching. If you aren't subscribed yet, go ahead, hit subscribe if you made it this far. Hopefully you won't have many more reasons to watch Gabe to get this mad throughout the year. But if you do, it's a nice little bonus. Now hit the bell if you want to be notified tomorrow when our podcast drops. This is just a little segment of our podcast. We go over more stuff in our bigger podcast, of course, than our short little formed videos that we do as part of our podcast every week. So if you want to go ahead and watch those, go ahead, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified when those podcasts drop, and we look forward to seeing you around.